Welcome, I'm SD Kelly. Although two of the lanterns in this video are decorated for Valentine's Day, which is only 2 days away, I think the DIY crafting information and ideas in them can be beneficial to some for any project, any time of year. I like for my lanterns to do more than just give off light. I like for them to tell a story, lend to a theme, or even be used for practical purposes such as to hide visual clutter. If you enjoy watching arts and craft videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to be notified anytime I upload something new. Feel free to follow me and tag me with related content on Instagram. My profile name there is Saggycat, after a sweet cat named Sagittarius. Here's that lantern that I got for AC Moore for under $5, and I had used it to tell a Christmas story of a Let It Snow theme, but now I've taken everything out and I've erased the chalkboard that I used as a backdrop to replace the glass that had broken out of it on the way home, and now I'm going to tell a story for Valentine's Day. I removed the chalkboard backdrop and the 3 panes of glass from the door and the 2 sides. Since it was so cheap, under $5, I decided to have some fun with spray paint, and I chose Satin Italian Olive by Garland. I spray painted the lantern and the back of this chalkboard. I'm just keeping my chalk drawing backdrop short and sweet because it's going to be mostly covered up, but I just wanted some kind of theme for the background. In the previous video that I used this lantern, I had designed this chalkboard to go either upside down or right side up so that there's a gap at the top or bottom so that I could put lights through it. This is a package of 36 red velvet hearts that came in a package at Dollar Tree. And I'm taking some clear line that I got from Dollar General, and I'll just be stringing some together. I strung some groups together at different lengths and facing in different directions. I'm leaving the tail end of the strings fairly long because I'll be wrapping those around craft sticks. Those glass pieces that you see off to the side are pieces that I've just brought home from Dollar Tree, and I'll be using them to decorate another lantern in an upcoming video. After hot gluing the string ends to the craft sticks, after wrapping them around it a few times, I glued some small craft magnets that I got from Walmart onto the back, and these will hang from the top of the lantern. I'm usually not a fan of glitter, but I sprayed these heart garland pieces with some fabric adhesive and lightly sprinkled them with some hot pink glitter just to have some bit of Valentine sparkle in the candlelight. I laid the rest of them out like bacon on a paper plate and took them outside to finish this work so I wouldn't destroy any more brain cells. I'm using just a little over 1 pack to build 3 candle holders of various heights to hold some LED votive candles. I tried to set aside any larger pieces for the top and for the bottom. Next, I took some Valentine's Day wooden heart ornaments, and I took one and put putty in the hole and then sanded it later, and it doesn't take long for it to dry. All I had to do was easily sand away some of the excess. I'm using one of those wooden love signs, some galvanized metal hearts, and this metal strip that I took off of an Easter plaque from last year. I do that a lot. I'll collect these plaques that I use for other things, and then I'll take pieces off that I want to use as embellishments for other projects. A while back at Dollar Tree, I picked up these mason jar looking Ziploc bags that are for reusing for things like snacks and craft supplies and whatever you can think of that will fit in there. And it's airtight, and I like to keep my sponge brushes, I still have some paint on them, or some other paint brushes, even if the end has to kind of stick out of the bag. I got these a while back, like in packages of 3. They had 2 different sizes. I found the exact same ones on Amazon, and if I can find a link to them, I'll provide that. Currently, at the time of this video, I'm not an affiliate with Amazon because I have to renew that, but anyway, I will provide the links. I like to provide links of things that I use and enjoy using that I find very useful. I also like to keep the wooden parts of my sponge brushes, and I use those for crafts sometimes too. I like to salvage whatever I can if it's a viable, like, crafting supply. And those wooden paintbrush handles are definitely something useful. So I whitewashed this word love, and I'm just going around the outer edges with this furniture wood correction marker. And I'm also doing that to this heart. And I'm going to go in over the edges some and create a more rustic and worn type look. I'm also just freely and lightly scribbling across it to create a chipped wood look. For areas that I felt like I got a bit too carried away, I just take a Q-tip and some chalk paint and just gently whitewash over the excess. Now that the pieces are constructed, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing everything together, and I'm using the styrofoam floral disc that I got from Dollar Tree, and they come 2 in a pack. Here I'm gluing the Spanish moss directly to this foam disc, and I'm using a stick to just press down in some tight areas. I want the scenery in my lantern to look like something magical and woodland, something that you would find in a fairy tale. I'm using tacking putty to hold these votive candles in place, and these are remote controlled candles that have different timing settings and even have a steady light versus flicker light if I choose. And I got these off of Amazon, and I'll provide a link to those as well if that's something you're interested in. But they come like 12, I think, in a box, maybe 16, I have to look again. But these work great, and the remote will work through the glass, and it's really convenient to have this, especially to put them on timers. So they come 12 in a pack with one remote, and you can use them throughout your house however you wish. Now I'm using some of them, and they have a really nice, soft, realistic look about them. I found various twigs out in the yard that will be good for this because I like that winter theme look, because Valentine's is still considered a wintertime holiday, although a lot of people like to make it going into spring. I wasn't quite ready to exit out of winter yet, so I like putting these trees in there just to add to the rustic and woodland effect. This whole display fit right in, but of course I didn't tack down the candles hard enough. Here I'm taking some Waverly antique wax and just going around some of the corners and the hinges and various places to give it a more rustic look. I glued magnets onto the back of each of these embellishments that I put on the outside. Here's another lantern that I had picked up from a thrift store and decorated with detachable pieces for Christmas. I took everything off and packed it away for next year, and now I'm just measuring the glass panes, including the door and the 3 sides, and I'm taking a chopping block mat, or what's left of one, and I'm just drawing out the measurements to cut out some pieces that will give it a frosted glass look, but I'm going to deco podge some tissue paper over these for Valentine's Day. The 3 remaining sides of this lantern are the same size, so I only needed to measure for one of those sides and create 2 more panels by tracing the first one. I used cotton ball and rubbing alcohol to clean off any finger smudges, my pen marks, or any splotches on there from God knows what. I like to use the backing of any contact paper for my stickier projects. I know that you're supposed to separate tissue paper plies or napkin plies apart before Mod Podging, but I tried and could not find out where these pieces separate, so I just figured that they were all one piece and just accepted it as such, and it ended up being a very sturdy piece. I put the glossy side down, and I'll be attaching the tissue paper with Mod Podge to the matte side. I suppose it doesn't really matter if you use the glossy versus matte side, but I just think with the matte side, everything probably sticks better. I don't have a lot of Mod Podge experience, so you might want to watch other YouTubers as well to get some input on this part, but this is how I'm doing it, and everything turned out fine. I used another piece of chopping block just to smooth everything out, and I tried to work from the inside of the piece of chopping block to my way out. Of course, I wasn't really happy with how it was looking, and fortunately the tissue paper was still thick enough because I couldn't get the plies apart if there are separate plies, and I was able to pull it up and reapply it with no problems. After the Mod Podge was dried, I just went around and easily trimmed off the excess tissue paper. I then added another layer of semi-gloss Mod Podge just to seal off the edges and to make it shine a little bit. And how do you like my reusable gloves? I got a few cute pairs of garden gloves from the Dollar Tree, and when I'm not doing really fine nitpicky type of crafts, I like to use those for painting. And now I'm putting together the pieces that will go on top. I'm first making this bow, and it's going to be more of a floral type of bow, and I'm just making it how I normally do, and I'll put a link to my bow tutorial, but I'm just taking different layers at a time and going across 2 strands of wire. This pretty ribbon here is made out of jute type material, and it's a natural look, but it has like this real pretty beaded pearl-like row down the center of the ribbon, and I got this from Walmart. Here I am taking 2 ribbons that I got from Dollar Tree. One is a sheer pink and one is a solid pink. I'm adding a 3rd layer, which is this natural colored beige ribbon that has arrows side by side. I had cut a slit almost halfway across so that this thicker bunches of ribbon will be easier to work with. I wrapped the wires that were left remaining around this wooden skewer piece. Finally, I had glued on a floral piece that I happened to find on the floor, and it just worked out perfectly. Here is the other styrofoam disc that came in that package that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm cutting it into 4 quadrants, and they actually cut pretty easily. I'm starting out by gluing small craft magnets that I got in a package at Walmart in the craft section, and I'm putting 3 on initially, but later I found that the pieces were just a little bit too heavy for my liking, so just for extra security purposes I went back and glued a 4th magnet. Here I am putting on some Spanish moss, and I'm just gluing it on to attach it, and that will be the base for my flowers. I'm repurposing some floral pieces that I put onto a craft project last year, and I'll be repurposing all of it that I've dismantled. This is it right here. And I don't really have a use for it this year, but I can repurpose all these parts for something else. I'm taking the wooden skewer of the bow that I had just made, and I'm putting it in this piece that's going to go on top in the front of the lantern. I had to use some pieces of clear Scotch tape to hold the panel for the door in place, and you couldn't even see it. I just used a tiny bit at the top and bottom just to hold it flat against the door, and then the other panels just fit right into place. Here is a Valentine's Day string of fairy lights through some red mesh tubing, and I put some magnets on the battery pack so it stick into the top, and I can still access it to turn it on and off. And I'm just weaving the whole thing in and out and around the flowers to just add some light on top. If you're able to get a hold of some timed fairy lights or some remote control fairy lights, and then get some mesh tubing at Dollar Tree and put them through it, that would be even better. And for my candle light, I'm using one of those votive candles again that work with the remote control. Here's an oil rubbed bronze colored lantern by Hudson 43 that I got on clearance at Joann's. I don't know if you could find this lantern or something similar, but there's certainly no shortage of lanterns if you want to tell a similar story. For this project, I'll be using 2 sets of these mercury glass candle holders that I got at Christmas time from Dollar Tree. I'll be using 4 altogether, and I have these 3 candle holders that are at 3 different levels, and this statue of 2 people embracing. All of this came from Dollar Tree. I picked up this Christmas tin at a thrift store, and it's a perfect size. I won't be using this part, I'll be just using the lid. I spray painted these 2 pieces with Rust-Oleum's oil rubbed bronze spray paint. I'll be using this for another project in the future. Here's an example of a box you can get at Dollar Tree with a lid that's similar in size. Here are 2 styrofoam discs. I'm just going to be using one. I'm going to trace out my pieces onto here and cut out the styrofoam disc. Now, just to warn you, this project is going to go through a very ugly phase. So just bear with me. It's going to look awesome when it's done. I traced 3 of the tall tea light holders and 1 of the votive candle holders, and I'm cutting out the circles of the styrofoam with an X-Acto utility knife. Now, where I've accidentally cut too far or broke off pieces that I shouldn't, I'm just going to simply hot glue those back on, and they'll stay perfectly in place. I'm just using some hot glue to put these pieces in this upside down lid, and I'm using the styrofoam to help hold everything into place so that it doesn't get shooken around. Now, some of it may become dislodged a little bit when I put this thing through the door, and I'm going to have to put it kind of slanted or maybe bend it slightly to get the lid inside the lantern, but I do know that the diameter of this circle will fit perfectly once inside. For one of the mercury glass candle holders, I'm going to be placing it upside down in the front. here is where this project gets really ugly. So just stay with me, you guys, please. It's going to look great when it's done. I'm just taking some of the scrap pieces of styrofoam and I'm adding them in the cracks and blank spaces. And then after that's done, I'm just adding some E6000 and some hot glue to put those mercury candle holders on top of these upside down tea light holders. I had to use a wooden disc in between the statue and this vaulted candle holder because there wasn't enough surface area contact to hold them in place. It was too concave where the pieces met, but adding those wooden discs in between, I added 2 of them, and I got them in a package of wooden craft supplies at Hobby Lobby one time a while back. But adding those 2 pieces in between the statue and the vaulted candle holder actually helps them to be joined together like this, and they'll stay put. So here I'm using a paintbrush just to apply some simple clear craft glue, and I'm just putting some moss over the glue, and I'll use the back end of the paintbrush to get into the really tight areas. This part here was a bit tricky, and I was worried that it would come completely apart, but it didn't. I just had to straighten it up a little bit, and it still stayed stuck to the lid. And now I'm just putting some eucalyptus branches in here to just make it smell pretty. Here's a galvanized metal Better Homes and Garden lantern that I picked up from Walmart on sale for $9. I also picked up a black one. I decided I wanted to use these lanterns all year round as storage space to hide some clutter. Here I'm deciding which materials to use, but as you can see, there's so many choices. I decided to go with this ivory vintage lace that's made of vinyl. And I got this at a thrift store. It already had some rips in it and things like that, but I use this for a variety of craft projects, and I salvage whatever good is left on it. I'm just cutting out along the borders of this lantern to make these shapes that go on the inside. Simultaneously, I am working on my black lantern that's exactly like this one in size and shape, but I'm going to be using this black shelf liner for the inside of the windows. Next, I took some magnetic tape that I got from Walmart and I applied it to the top and bottom of each piece. I added thick opaque ribbon to the opposite side just to cover up any stickiness that came through the holes. This also helped to ensure that the magnet strips stayed onto these pieces long term. After I was done putting these pieces together, I just simply stuck them inside the lantern and they covered the windows nicely. Here's another one of those candles from the same group of candles that I introduced in this video. That's remote controlled, and I'm putting this on a steady light. I hot glued some craft magnets that I got from Walmart to the bottom of the candle and just placed it in the top of the lantern. The black shelf lining for the black lantern was a bit too thick and didn't let the light shine through as much. I found myself having to put 3 candles in here, hanging at different levels with ribbon and attached with those magnetic clips that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I liked how it turned out and it hides clutter, but I still would prefer that the light shine through the windows better. So later on, I'll probably find something else to put in the windows, but you get the idea of what you can do with lanterns like this. Here is a review of all the lanterns decorated in this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got some fabulous decorating ideas for your home. If you liked today's video, I hope that you'll give it a big thumbs up, comment on, and share this video with everyone that you know. Also, I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel because I would love to have you here. You'll find my social media links in the description below. Again, I'm SD Kelly, and I thank you for watching.